Hello PrisonPlanet.tv subscribers, and welcome to this special video report. My name is Paul Joseph Watson, editor of PrisonPlanet.com, on this Sunday, June the 20th, and this is the first of a series of these video reports which will be exclusively available to PrisonPlanet.tv subscribers. And the special bulletin today, obviously, as you will see from the website, we have a big article up there at the moment. And we're calling for a criminal investigation to be launched into BP, into the federal government and into Halliburton by the local authorities, by the state governments of Florida, Louisiana and Mississippi. And in this presentation we're going to run through the plethora of mammoth, gigantic evidence that points directly at the BP oil spill being, in the very least, criminal negligence that was deliberately allowed to happen, which led to the explosion and the oil spill, or even purposeful sabotage of the oil well to engender the crisis that has followed and the political capital that the Obama administration has gained from it in pursuit of its carbon tax climate change agenda, and we're going to go into that shortly. People are outraged today with the CEO of BP, Tony Hayward, who is busy watching a yacht race today. Seems to be quite unconcerned about the worsening oil spill crisis. And of course Barack Obama is playing golf after, he took 2 vacations in the immediate aftermath of the oil spill, busied himself playing basketball and whatnot. Today he's seemingly more concerned about playing golf than trying to solve this crisis, even though he himself characterized it as, being on a par with 9/11, such a mega disaster that it needed addressing immediately. And yet Obama spends most of his time on vacation playing golf or basketball. And that just strikes at the root of how every effort to find a solution to this crisis has been lackluster and half-hearted. We keep hearing this rhetoric about how bad the crisis is, how devastating it will be, and how it may drag on for years. But this is not being matched by the appropriate action from either BP or the federal government. There's a contradiction there. The doomsday scenarios that they're outlaying are not being met with the same kind of action from them personally. And in hindsight, we've collated the evidence, and I'm afraid the verdict is in. It's become clear that not only was there foreknowledge of the original oil spill, the explosion, the leak, and we'll go through that shortly, but the response to the oil spill, as you saw with Hurricane Katrina back in 2005, has been deliberately botched once again. With federal authorities preventing local authorities, state bodies, from cleaning up the mess. Many of you will remember the Jefferson Parish president, Aaron Broussard, who famously, after the Hurricane Katrina disaster, appeared on MSNBC's Meet the Press and started crying his eyes out, talking about how FEMA, the federal government, had deliberately severed the communication lines to the local sheriff down there where Hurricane Katrina was going on, so the local police couldn't coordinate with each other, couldn't speak to each other, because FEMA was in there deliberately sabotaging the communication lines. Now, why would they do that? Well, in the case of Hurricane Katrina, more power for the federal government. They were able to enact their gun confiscation, which was a mass training program for the wider gun confiscation that they have in store for all Americans. And it's the same with the BP oil spill. The worse the crisis gets, the more political capital Obama gathers in pursuit of his carbon tax agenda. Now, not only is there a lockdown on preventing state and local authorities from helping clean up the oil spill, and there's actually a new story out today or recently from Fort Liberty, which talks about how the Louisiana governor Bobby Jindal had ordered the state's fleet of 16 vacuum barges to clean up oil in the Louisiana marshes. What happened was basically the US Coast Guard interrupted them and said, turn back and go home. So this, allied with numerous other examples which are linked to in the article on the website, which is thoroughly documented with mainstream sources illustrating every point we make, federal authorities are once again preventing state and local officials from getting the job done and cleaning up this crisis, because they want to control everything surrounding the disaster. Case in point, they've erected an information blockade around the disaster. Both BP and the federal government, reporters have been harassed, threatened with arrest, and prevented from accessing the beaches and the affected areas. We have a YouTube video where a CBS reporter attempts to get an interview with some of the cleanup crew, and he's basically told that they're not allowed to talk to him, even though the one of the spokesmen for BP in a letter 2 days previously said that the media would be allowed to talk to the cleanup workers. The media goes on the beaches down there, tries to talk to them, and they're threatened by these thug private security guards hired by BP, who have basically gagged the cleanup workers from uttering a word, because there's a blockade of information. There's an information lockdown and a strictly enforced cover-up, which is solely focused around protecting the official story and the official proclamations of exactly what's going on. They don't want the truth to get out, whatever that truth may be. And as we'll go on to see, it's the fact that this was deliberately sabotaged. So there's an information blockade. There's a psyops going on. The Pentagon calls this psychological information warfare. It's intended to deceive and confuse the enemy, which is us, the public, the general public, the media, have all been blocked from accessing and accurately reporting information, because the federal government, in alliance with British Petroleum, is engaged in a massive cover-up of information of what's truly taking place. And there's this insistence on refusing any help, not only from local state officials and local authorities, but even from foreign companies that have gone on the record to say they can fix this. Within 2 to 4 months we can fix it if you let us in to fix it. But no, Obama, under the Jones Act, which forbids foreign ships from operating between US ports but can be waived in a national emergency or in cases of strategic interest, which is exactly what this represents. But Obama's saying no. There are no less than 13 countries who offered Obama help in cleaning up the oil spill, one of which was Belgium, through a company called DEME, which said that it has the 5 or 6 specialist vessels with the equipment required, which the US does not have that technology. They have the specialist equipment and the trained personnel to fix this oil leak, to cap the well, within 2 to 4 months. They said, we can do it, give us the opportunity. And Obama said no, because they want the crisis to get worse and worse. They want it to drag on and be prolonged until Obama can get his carbon tax through the Senate, which he's planning to do after the midterm elections in November.